Will take 24 of 32 votes to eliminate this play that has become a short yardage staple for the Super Bowl champs. Just moments ago, Eagles coach Nick Sirianni addressed some of the health concerns that have come up with regard to this play. He just said this.
I know what the data says, and I know how we coach it, and we don't coach a push play any different than we coach a quarterback sneak play. So, that if, it's, again, the injury data says what it says, and we coach it the exact same, whether somebody's pushing or whether somebody's not pushing. We were healthy on the play. I believe the whole entire NFL was healthy on the play.
Yeah, to be clear, I've not seen, and we've looked everywhere we can, any data that suggests it is a more dangerous play than others. I can't say with certainty there is no such data, but I've not been able to find any. Booger, how do you feel about the possibility of the banishment of the Tush Push?
I think it's absolutely wrong. Greeny, think about this. We've seen no data from a health and safety standpoint, so you're banning this play from an aesthetic standpoint or because you can't stop it. Imagine if they told Kareem, hey, you can't do the sky hook. It just looks bad. Nobody else shoots that way, okay? They can't stop it. Now, everybody else could do it, but just because nobody can stop it, you can't do it. That's essentially what they're doing to the Tush Push. I haven't seen anything. As the coach said, it's a glorified quarterback sneak.
Right.
If they ban it, to me, this would be a travesty to football, because now they're setting precedent that if someone else comes up with a play that is unstoppable, are we going to do the same thing to that play? That's why I don't like this.
Point of parliamentary procedure. Pushing the ball carrier, quarterback or otherwise, in the NFL has been illegal for about 90% of the league's history. They changed that rule. And I want you to watch. We have a little demonstration that Bart Scott did here about a week and a half ago, having nothing to do with health and safety, but about how the play is not fair to the defense, which I would think you would be interested in. Let's roll that, please.
Imagine if I have Jalen Carter right here. Damon Woody has to snap the ball and get his hand up to block him, but he gets a jetpack on the back, and I push him back. He's going to get it, and you're never going to be able to get a playoff. What if the defensive players did that? We would hear the offensive players complaining about that. If we want to have a tush push, I should be able to push my guy on the other side. It's like playing, one team gets to play 8 players, and the other one gets to play with 4 players.
As a man who made his living lined up against the center.
A couple of things. That was a very small Jalen Carter that he was pushing.
That's Pineapple Jack.
That's number one. Number two, Greeny, understand this. We're taught as defensive linemen in that quarterback sneak situation to get low. Low man always wins. But if you watch the Philadelphia Eagles tush push, low man doesn't always win, because when you get low, the offensive line gets on top. Quarterback normally goes over the top or to the left side. I still like the play. It is not a great play for defensive tackles. I still love the play just because.
Should the defense be allowed to push? Should they? They're not allowed to do it.
In this situation, yes, they should.
Look at Kyle Hamilton. He's pushing right now.
I know, but look, I mean, they should be allowed to push. It should be. See, what's happened here is, look, people understand that because they can't push. And notice, I think Sean McDermott was one of the people who was one of the vocal proponents against this, although his football team's really good.
Exactly.
They have Josh Allen,
But, look, this is not about player safety, unless there's some data, as you said, that we don't know about. This is about the fact that 2 teams have demonstrated that they have perfected this thing and you can't stop it. They perfected it at a greater than 80% success rate. And aesthetically, as you mentioned, it really doesn't appeal to the purist in you, right? That's what it is.
It does.
That's what it is.
But still, Greeny, they should not outlaw the play. Figure out a way to stop it. And this is coming from
come up with a better, or just say, hey, look, we just don't like the way it looks.
Or draft.
Simple as that. Just say it.
Draft your quarterback that can squat 600 pounds. They got the biggest offensive line in football.
Yeah, that's true. Get you a Jordan Mailata. Get you some people. Get you a quarterback that squats 600 pounds.
There's one team that stopped it a few times, the Buccaneers. You know why? Because they got Vita Vea inside.
Right.
And so if you want to stop it, now you're going to have to do what teams do. You draft according to the division and the people you have to stop.
So that's what we're doing.
Well, I'm just saying.
If they ban it, then the visual will just be Frankie Louvu flying over the top of it, trying to make a stop.
3 times in a row.
And the referee saying we're going to award them a touchdown, which I've been watching the game 50 years. I had never heard before.
A bunch of his coordinators are now head coaches with other teams, so he expects a lot of support. Louis Riddick is back. It's the most hotly contested rule at the owners' meetings. So, Louis, should the NFL ban this play?
No, I don't see why they should, especially if they cannot produce, that I've seen anyway, actual evidence that it really does pose some kind of grave medical risk or health risk to the players. If they can't really put forth some kind of evidence that says that this is a very dangerous football play, what this is a bunch of people who are pissed off about the fact that they can't stop the play and that it represents a competitive advantage for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, do I like the optics of the play? Do I think it's fair that you should be able to get behind a quarterback on the 1-inch line and push him in with as many people as you want, but on the defensive side, you can't counteract it by pushing your defenders forward to try and stop it? No, I don't like that. I don't like the optics of it. But if the reason why you want to get rid of it is because you're saying that it presents some kind of health risk, then show the evidence. Otherwise, what you're saying is you just don't like the fact that you can't stop the play. It's as simple as that.
They need 24 teams to vote in favor of banning the play, and that vote going down today. Meanwhile, the draft is a month away, and we're days away from the Colorado Showcase. What are you looking for specifically from Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter Lewis this Friday?
Yeah, I'll be out there in Boulder. I cannot wait. Look, it's going to be a spectacle. And I think the number one thing that probably everybody wants to see is what kind of horsepower does Shedeur have in his arm? Because when you sat down there and you watched Cam Ward down in Coral Gables just last week, and I stood right next to him while he was throwing, you could see it. The ball pops out of his hand. And, I mean, it is zipping now. And with Shedeur, look, he doesn't need to be able to throw it through a brick wall. He just needs to be able to show that he can drive the football into all areas of the field with the kind of accuracy that he showed during the regular season. And I don't expect it to be any different, quite honestly. And I put a play up on Twitter just the other day of him making an opposite hash 30-yard throw in the air down the field on a 9-ball on a go route that he dropped right in the bucket. And I was like, look, I don't know where you're coming up with these arm strength issues. I want to see that. I want to see his leadership. I want to see him go ahead and take charge of the workout, just like all guys who are franchise quarterbacks do at this time of year.
Not for nothing, it would be cool to see him throw a football through a brick wall. What about Travis Hunter? I mean, what haven't we seen from him that he's done on a football field, winning the Heisman? Is there anything he needs to do during the showcase?
No, not really. I mean, look, it's going to be what it's going to be. I mean, he's a guy who has got one-of-one hand-eye coordination and body dexterity and coordination in the air. I mean, he looks like a ballerina out there. He looks like Lynn Swann. And I expect it to be all the same, and that's why I expect him to go in the top 2-3 picks in the draft.
Louis Riddick joining us this morning on SportsCenter, breaking it down. Not wanting to ban the tush push. Randy, you're on the wrong side of history with that one.
Okay.
I got your back, Louis. Thanks, man.